Hey, what's up guys, Mashine here, come back with a brand new video. If you guys, so much has gone on in my personal life and I'm glad to be back here producing some more videos for you guys, one eardrum less. But today we're going to be talking about a lot of things going on in the market. Let's hop on into it. Now first up, I want to talk about a topic that is relating to the major. Now pretty much everyone has probably seen some sort of the major going on, and the one thing that's really stood out to me is the CT dominance that has been going on. If you haven't noticed, CT teams are winning considerably more than they really should be, and this is a huge problem for the game because it's kind of like the old way Train and Nuke were, where you would have to get 5 rounds on the T side and you might be in a pretty good position to win the game. It's not the way the game should be set up, and honestly it's kind of showing a little bit of its age. Therefore, I think we could potentially be on the edge of maybe in the future seeing another M4A1S nerf or something very considerably very similar, maybe like an M4A4 buff or something like that. It's something I just want to throw out there at this time, thinking about it a little bit. I don't think it's very high or very likely at this point, but it is something that has started to kind of creep up a little bit because we've seen it with this major, that this gun is just way too dominant and something needs to be changed to the overall game or the overall economy or something. Now heading on over to the actual market, we've seen so many changes go on since I last made a video. The biggest thing I want to point out is the amount of capsules that are starting to go a little bit crazy. Now we're going to talk about the sticker capsule too in a couple minutes, but I just want to point out the other capsules that have really been taking a very large profit that a lot of people really didn't expect. I'll be completely honest, this is not a capsule that anyone expected to be moving. And the main one I'm talking about here is the community sticker capsule 1. If you haven't picked it out already, it's got 4 foils in it. For the most part, those are on the more expensive side, especially beforehand, but this capsule was sitting around that $4.50 price point, started to creep up a little bit, but actually peaked at around $13. Now I do want to warn you that these peaks are very small and very short. In the span of an hour, the price went from $12, then it peaked at $13, and then it fell all the way back down to $12 and then $11. So it's very quick moving when these peaks happen, which is something that we haven't seen in the past. When we look at past peaks, the peaks were there, and it's obviously very hard now that the graphs are different, but the peaks were generally there for a day or two where pretty much anyone who wanted to sell could. But now if we're looking at the peaks that we're going to see today, you can see just how quickly these peaks go away. Now this could be a lot of different things, but the main thing I want to point out here is the preparation that people have. People have learned the past trends, and I think this just really speaks to how much harder CSGO investing is going to be moving forward. The opportunities to profit every day are getting slimmer and slimmer, and I don't say that to scare you, because if you know me, there is still so many different ways you can profit on the Steam market here, and especially if you check out my last video talking about Fiverr. But basically what I'm saying here is there's a ton of different opportunities. They're just becoming more and more limited. You have to be in the right place at the right time, which is not something that's the most ideal, especially considering this peak happened at midnight. It's not like, at least for me, I'm going to be up at midnight looking at the Steam community market. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it seems it's going to be moving forward. And we can see this even with past trends that happened not too long ago. Talking about the wildfire case. The wildfire case peak and collapse happened so quickly, which is something that we're starting to see. As I've mentioned, pretty much every single item, as soon as it peaks up, that peak is very short-lived. We're not talking about things that are super unliquid like the Krakow capsules, which have not really specifically peaked, but in my opinion they've kind of kept an elevated price, which is not something I specifically expected. But still, pretty much any item that has some sort of liquidity is peaking very quickly and coming back down super quickly as well. It's something that in the past was held over the span of a couple days, but now since people are just so prepared and becoming so much more competitive to make any sort of profit they can, it's something that you're going to have to specifically be watching out for if you want to cash in. And this kind of leads me over to the topic of an operation. We've talked so much about an operation and when potentially could we see an operation and such, but the thing is we haven't really talked that much about what's going to happen when the operation hits, especially considering how long that dip is going to last. If we're seeing our peaks and collapse pretty much lose 90% of their time span, going from a couple days to just a couple hours, how are we going to see that collapse in the market? Are we going to see a market, the collapse that used to be maybe a couple days is now also down to a couple hours? It's going to be very interesting. We know how much more competitive CSGO investing has gotten, and therefore that creates so many problems, especially talking about an operation where people are actively actively waiting to buy in because we haven't seen that summer slowdown. We've seen constant growth. It's a lot of things coming together. Basically, the main point I want to get at here is we don't know, especially when it comes to an operation, how long that dip is going to last, but don't overestimate the thing. I think it's going to be probably a pretty decently long dip that most people are going to be able to get into if they want, but the biggest thing I'm going to say is don't overestimate it, because that's how you're going to get burned, especially if you're looking to invest in and not be able to invest in at all. Now, this video has taken a main focus to things that have gone up in price quickly, and yes, a lot of these are very unpredictable, but when we're talking about the case of the sticker capsule 2, there was a lot of factors leading up beforehand that could give you an indicator of when to possibly pick up some of these for the very short term. Now, the first one is obviously got to be that stupid banana foil. Now, I'm not specifically going to say that you should see this going up in price and then instantly go over to the capsule, because in actuality, the price of this in the overall ROI to the capsule is very negligible. It only raised the ROI a couple percentage points, which when we're talking overall for CSGO standards is not really a lot, considering it was sitting around that 60-ish% ROI beforehand. Just to give you a rough idea, the crown foil makes up around 85% of the total ROI for the entire sticker 2 capsule. So it's going to have to go up in price pretty high for the stupid banana foil to actually do something very impactful. It raised at around 5%-ish here, which is definitely a pretty significant amount, but not enough to warrant specifically investing in for the long term. But in my opinion, it was the combination of the stupid banana foil going up in price with the fact that the sticker 2 capsule, which is something I've been advocating for pretty hard in the previous month or so, is just a really good investment, or at least it was a really good investment at around like $16-17, because the thing is, it was sitting at a ROI that was extremely good for the potential that the capsule has. See, a lot of CSGO cases don't have a great ROI, and the thing is, a lot of the things you do look at that have a good ROI, something like the Team Rolls capsule or the Perfect World capsules, are really good in ROI terms, but that's because they don't offer anything expensive. As you go up and see more expensive items in a case or a capsule, the ROI generally starts to go down pretty significantly. But the thing is, the sticker 2 capsule was the best of both worlds. It offered a really good ROI for what you're getting. I mean, 60% is not the greatest, but it used to sit at around 70%, but it also offered a pretty expensive item inside of it that you could use to kind of gauge whether you were going to make profit or not over a couple capsules. The thing is, you're looking for things with expensive items inside of it that don't have a terrible ROI, and the sticker 2 capsule was able to get you that. Now, obviously, there's a decent amount of hindsight bias playing into this and such, but that is really all I have for today, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.